Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 4 and episode number 614 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. 100% Canadian. Today, recording day is Tuesday, April 1st, 2025. And, well, I mean, I'd say happy April Fools, but since sometime in November, every day's sort of been like April Fools.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but happy April Fools. We don't have a prank planned for you, kits and cubs, because there's enough going on.
Yeah.
Because now, of course, you probably sit there and, okay, now the prank is probably that they're saying that there's no prank, and then the prank's going to come. There's no prank.
No prank.
No prank. I am your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him. Hey, Mr. Beaver A. And with me is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. A big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. It looks like it's going to be a nice day here at the Beaver Lodge. I'm seeing very cloudy skies, but just like a donut hole of blue sky where some sun is trying to come through. So perhaps today. But again, some thoughts to our friends out in Quebec and in the Maritime provinces, the Atlantic provinces, who are seeing some of what it is that we experienced here in Ontario. It seems that Aurelia, Peterborough, Kingston area was some of the more harder hit areas with regard to power outages. Yesterday, I misspoke. I said that there were about 390,000 at the peak. It turns out it was about 800,000 people at the peak. And at the time I was speaking yesterday, about 390,000 were still without power. By dinner time yesterday, that was still at about 300,000. And by night, I think there was an extra 40,000 in Quebec as the storm started hitting there. There was about 3 inches, 3 inches or centimeters. Can't remember. I didn't know that one down. 3 centimeters, I'm going to guess, of ice on certain trees that had accumulated. It seems that the weird part about this is that normally you don't get a system that stays this long, particularly at this time of the year, but you don't get a system that stays this long. And that's been the thing with this one. It seems to be moving relatively slowly, and it seems to be a combination of several different systems all sort of happening and all at once. For those who are having issues with power, Hydro One in Ontario said that it is possible that you may have issues for up to a week. So if there's anywhere in Canada where you still have time to prepare, make sure that you do have plenty of fuel for your generators, those who have them, and some stuff to eat and medicines and supplies or whatnot for to sustain you for about a week, just in case, or places to go for heat. So because it could be a trickier one. There seems to be a system that it is not moving quickly, and doing a decent amount of damage. Right. A little tidbit before we start. Also, oh, sorry. Before we do that, Mr. Grizzly, how's your mental health today, sir?
It's pretty good. Yesterday was a very good day. I had a very productive day. I got a lot done, a lot accomplished, which made me feel like I had purpose again, which is good because without purpose, life is difficult. So yeah, yesterday was a good day. This morning, mental health is fine. What I'm troubled by though is because I have a very high metabolic rate, and I sweat like a demon. So I wake up feeling hungover every day of my life because I'm dehydrated.
Right.
I haven't had anything to drink since Saturday watching the hockey game, and I still wake up feeling hungover, which is just, if I'm going to feel that way, I want to at least know I had fun getting there. But no. What did I do last night? I took Lola out. I came back. I got home around 5:30, took Lola out, had some dinner, did a couple errands, watched a bit of TV, and went to bed. Wake up feeling hungover. This is not right, man. Like, it's not fair. But I feel like that every day of my life.
All the pain and none of the party.
Yeah, well, that's like, come on. If I'm going to feel like this, at least give me a reason to, not just existence is enough. No. So, people go, how can you have depression? You got a pretty good life. Bitch, please. I wake up feeling hungover and I haven't had anything to drink in days. Why the fuck is that? That's not even fair, man. Wouldn't that add to your depression? Yeah,
Yep.
Good point.
Yep. Might even be a reason to drink.
Okay.
No, do not drink. Do not even drink for that. Do not drink for that reason, kids and cubs. Do not drink for that reason. Do not start that habit.
Mr. Jim says I should get my blood sugar checked, and I understand where you're coming from, sir. This has been like this my whole life. Like since I was a child, I've been like this. I get my blood work done frequently. The only thing that ever happened the last time I had my blood work done, I'm due for another check soon because I spoke to my doctor recently, is my B12 was low. So he put me on B12. That was it. Like, he's like, you're in boringly good health. I said, yeah, other than the mental stuff and, the broken. He goes, yeah. But yeah, it's life. I've been like this my entire life, which, what did I do in a past life to deserve that? The old saying from Winston Churchill, I feel sorry for those people who don't drink. When they wake up, that's the best they're going to feel all day. No, I was checked for sleep apnea a few years too, and I don't have that either. I wake up feeling hungover every day.
Oh, yeah.
All pain, no party.
Yay. All pain, no party.
That's
Pierre
Poilievre's new campaign slogan.
Yeah, really.
That's from Tavi G. That's brilliant. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's all pain, no party. Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives.
Title of his biography. Oops. We have a little news tidbit in case you missed it. There is a possibility of a bit of labor unrest at Air Canada. It seems that the flight attendants have an issue,
and I completely support them on this.
Yeah, there are things I learned that I did not know.
I've known about this for a long time, probably 15 years. When I first heard it, I'm like, what? That can't be right. No, that is right. Flight attendants aren't paid. In the U.S., they're not paid until the door is closed, right? So as people are boarding, so the flight attendant gets there, they make sure the aircraft is good. They don't get paid until the door closes.
They check you in. They do all that stuff.
Get you seated, blah, blah, blah. In Canada, you don't start getting paid until the aircraft is in the air. When was the last time you got on a flight and we're in the air within the first 3 or 4 minutes?
Never.
Never. So I am on board. Go ahead and strike. I mean it. Like, it is unpaid labor and it's bullshit. Because if you've ever flown, because I know there's some folks on the chat and have viewed this who have never been on an aircraft, and I've been flying most of my life. Well, yeah, actually my entire life, because I was a year old when we moved to Alberta.
Mhm.
So actually, I wasn't even a full year old at that point. So when you board a flight, especially today, because everybody has as much carry-on as allowable, because you don't want to pay that $60 or $70 or $80 to check a single bag. You get in, you get settled, you set your stuff up, you get your electronics out, you take your jacket off, you get your pillow set, blah, blah, blah. We'll do that for 150 to 200 to 300 people. Then you have multiple flight attendants making sure that everybody is settled in, their seatbelt is done, their seat is up. They have to tell people repeatedly, please take your headphones out or take your headphones off until the aircraft is in the air. Please turn off your electronics. Make sure all the bins are closed. That can take 30 minutes to an hour. And if there's a delay in taking off, because there's a big lineup, as is almost always the case, that is, let's say on average 60 minutes from the time that the flight attendants get on the plane until it's in the air. Well, if there's 4 flight attendants per aircraft, there's 4 hours of unpaid labor for
Right.
one flight. So you think about it, the corporation is getting all of this unpaid labor. That's wage theft. It's bullshit, and it needs to end now. It's wrong on so many levels. I hate it when I see corporations robbing people, and that's what they're doing. So, sorry, I get really fired up about this because I've been screwed over. I've seen countless people screwed over. It's bullshit. We need to end it. We need to end it now. Let's watch this little clip, and then we'll carry on. Sorry, I'm ranting on this one because it is wrong on so many levels. If you're working, you should be getting paid.
Absolutely.
Period.
A strike could be looming for Air Canada's 10,000 flight attendants. Their contract expires today. And despite ongoing negotiations, their union, CUPE, says there's still no deal. As we hear from the CBC's Scott Peterson, the main issue here is unpaid work.
The main sticking point in these negotiations, according to CUPE, is that the 10,000 workers that they represent, the flight attendants at both Air Canada and Air Canada Rouge, are only paid for the time that the plane is in the air and not for all the other assignments as far as welcoming passengers, putting things in the overhead bin, and disembarking the aircraft at the same time. So as a result, CUPE is saying that the average flight attendant works about 35 hours per month for free, which goes against Transport Canada rules. Now, CUPE is also backing a bill C-415. This is a proposed change to the federal law to standardize how flight attendants are paid, and that would be precedent setting if that does go through in Canada. They also want an update on salary. CUPE is saying that an entry-level flight attendant could make as little as $27,000 per year, and that's not enough to keep up with the standard of living.
No.
CUPE says that discussions are ongoing and that they are good between them and the management at Air Canada. But after today, the contract does end, which potentially puts them in a legal strike position coming up soon if these negotiations continue. Scott Peterson, CBC.
So, yeah, 10,000 flight attendants, 35 hours a month in unpaid labor times 10,000.
Mm-hmm.
Just those law of averages. Let's reduce the number of working to 8,000, right? Because there's sick days, there's time off, there's vacation, let's say it's 8,000 people. 8,000 people working 35 hours per month for free. Do the math. That is wage theft on a massive scale. Massive scale. And all airlines do it. It's absolute horseshit.
Yeah, there's
You
some
know,
good
I hear
questions
people
here.
say unions are greedy. Unions are, excuse me? Unions are fighting to get them paid for their work.
Mhm. Yep, some good questions here in the chat. Do pilots only get paid once they start flying? Nurses definitely suffer that too. So yeah, agreed.
I don't know about pilots. I do know that in the U.S., pilots start at less than minimum wage. It seems. I don't know what the situation in Canada is. I know if you're like a senior pilot, you're earning a good living. I do
Yeah.
know that a lot of pilots in the U.S., when they first start in their career, they're working 2 or 3 jobs and flying as much as they can to get their hours so that they can get to a certain level. But I saw a thing on 60 Minutes about that a couple of years ago. It's like it's scandalous what they're paid when you consider they're responsible for people's lives.
Indeed.
It's a insidious business. Uh, I just sorry, I could go on about this all
That's
day.
okay. That's okay. Understand. But just wanted you to know, because this could come up, could affect travel plans, of course. But as Mr. Greeley says, I'm right with him in this one. Support this all the way.
Yes.
Go get what's yours. Work should not be free, especially if the tables are being turned in so many ways with tariffs and extra taxation and whatnot. Then it's like, then pay daddy and mommy. Right here. Put it here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if that's the way it's going to be, then we are all ourselves incorporated.
Yeah. Period.
It's like, you don't work for free, neither do I. Pay me what I'm worth.
From Environmental Coffee House, what they do in the U.S., what they do is they hire them as exempt professionals, which means at least in the U.S. you're exempt from overtime if you're classified a certain way. That's how they get around overtime. Wow.
Wow.
You're right. It's not less than minimum wage, but it's pretty bad. And also remember, what is the minimum wage in the U.S.? $7.25 an hour, and it's been that way for 22 years.
Yeah.
22 years.
Indeed, it's pretty low.
Well,
all right.
Look. Sorry, I'm incensed about this.
Yes. Yep. It'll come up again like this, but talks with management are going well at the moment. So at least that is positive, because often we're reporting about these situations where management is looking to create a lockout situation. So this does not seem to be the vibe going on now. So we'll see what happens here. Might also have something to do with perhaps Air Canada seeing the potential for more external market travel if we're going to be doing more business away from the United States, and may not want to be, put it this way, it might not be a good time to be greedy. Might be a little time to be grateful, considering what's coming.
Yeah, well, yes. And did you know that? So Air France started a daily from Ottawa to Paris. I think there's 2 or 3 flights a day. I can't remember. Direct Ottawa to Paris on Air France. Air Canada just started direct Ottawa to Heathrow daily. Now there used to be a daily, and then things changed, and then COVID, and but they're back to having daily flights from Ottawa to Heathrow, London Heathrow. Ottawa, I just checked yesterday, and Ottawa Gatineau is now 1,670,000 people. Ottawa Gatineau area is rapidly approaching the 2 million mark. That once the city hits the million, that changes everything. Literally changes everything. More businesses want to come here to do business. More companies are eager to move in. More flights start coming. Ottawa will probably never be a hub, simply due to the fact that Montreal's an hour and a half away. It'll never be a hub. I shouldn't say never, but the likelihood of it becoming a major hub is slim, because you have a major metropolitan area. There's 6 million people in the greater Montreal area, I believe. So and 9 million people in the GTA. We're almost 2 million. There's a huge difference there, but anyway.
Okay.
We'll move on. Sorry, I'm just...
No worries. All right.
You stirred my passion this morning. Not passionate, passion. There's a difference. Remember that, folks.
Yes. All right, starting as we usually do during the election season, once again with the caveat, because polls are not comfort, polls are fuel. They let you know where we have been, not where we're going. So, you know, again, and of course, it gives you the temperature of the water that all the political sharks are swimming in. So, again, not to influence you, just to give you the lay of the land. All right. Not big significant changes in certain senses, but there seems to be a little bit of rebound in the conservative vote in the projection, according to Canada 338. So it's now down to a 4-point spread here. There's going to be some tightening here and there. Again, remember, it's not that the conservatives are doing terribly, right? It's that the NDP and the conservatives are polling at 37, right? They're not doing terribly. You can win an election with 37
Yes, you can.
in Canada, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
and I think that I was watching CBC. There's only been 2 times in history, I think, with people had higher vote total. I think Pierre Trudeau had a 40% vote share at one time and lost. And then there was somebody back in 1926, whose name I can't remember at the moment, who picked up 45% and still lost. So, I mean, when you have a polarized election, as this one is, it really is the Liberals to lose. And if you make mistakes, you could start shedding support to the smaller parties just a little bit. And if the Conservatives are staying stable at their 37, which they seem to be, you can lose it, right? This is not in the bag at all by any stretch. If the bottom was falling out of the Conservatives in terms of the support from their members, their their floor or their ceiling, what they call the normal party floor and ceiling, that would be one thing, but that's not happening. So they've lost the parked vote that went to them, but it seems that their core base vote is extremely motivated. That's the rallies. And again, 37, 38%, a couple of really bad slip ups, terrible debate. For example, this could be a race again, right? It's the seat count because of the inefficiency of the conservative vote. But there's no dampening of demand from the conservative quarter for what Pierre Poilievre is selling. So even though we are commenting with awe and amazement that he is not pivoting, this actually could be a concerted strategy. In this case, it could be more than I'm just wedded to my thing. It could be that we're just going to keep on talking about this kind of stuff and running our campaign. Remember, there's no media, right? So what their supporters see of their campaign is not the same thing that we see.
Correct.
For them, it's going great.
Yeah. Well, rose-colored glasses.
I mean, now if there's any news about Corey Tenykes and that type of stuff, coming in, that's another thing. But in terms, they see the images from the rallies, they see him talking about crime, they see him talking about TFSAs, they see him talking about all the stuff, hitting all the notes, all the greatest hits, right? Every now and then, telling Trump, "Hey, knock it off." That's going to work.
Will they make an observation about a statement yesterday?
Who knows? Right? But all of this, the campaign stops for the media. The things that we show is not what's happening at his rallies.
Oh, no.
Right? As Mr. Grizzly said in previous, right? At his rallies is where he's his best, right? Well rehearsed. Some speech he's given 100 times, polished. The cameras are all set at the right spot to get him at all the right angles. If he wears that tight T-shirt or stuff like that, he gets that part too. He gets the adulating crowd that cheers for absolutely everything at every line. The jokes land there, right?
Jokes.
The jokes or like the trying to human lands there, right? They cheer for that stuff, or they're like for them, they watch them with the kids and they're like, oh, like this. And there's a lot of us that are thinking, let's just put it this way. There's a lot of conservatives that are upset that there's a lot of people who are not conservatives are pointing to the fact that how many times they're seeing his children.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Now, whether
Props? Are they
whether
props?
he's using them as a prop or not, okay, up to you to decide. Compared to a recent prime minister who also has children. But he seems to be traveling on the campaign with his wife and his children. His two children are very, 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 very young.
Well,
right. So
yes.
yeah, but it's there's not one that's 8 or 6 or what. You might be able to might feel more comfortable maybe leaving with a nanny or a sitter while you go away on a two-day jaunt, right? They're at that age where, right? So I'm not going to critique that, right? Well, just saying that there's a lot of people are making a comment, right? It seems to be noticeably at a higher frequency than one would normally see. But again, if we're being fair, they are of that age. Right?
Yes.
We have to be fair.
And I'm not going to argue with you. I did read one comment though that it made me chuckle, and I'm sure it'll do the same for you. Somebody, I forget, I saw it, scrolling, and I saw the comment, and I forgot to bookmark it, unfortunately. But the comment went along the lines of, do you think he's bringing his children out so often so they can hide the fact that he's so deep in the closet he's finding Christmas presents from last year?
Ouch. Wow.
Went, ooh.
Shots
Shots fired.
Yeah. I don't listen. I'm from the community, so I've heard the rumors, but I have seen nothing absolutely anywhere to.
And the rumors have been
substantiate
floating for 2 decades
in any way, shape, or form. So I'm always a little queasy.
Yeah, I hear you.
On that one, but so, but
I
there
still
are
thought
rumors.
that was kind of funny.
Yes, that's where, for those who are wondering, that's where it comes from. There are rumors, but again, there were also rumors about Lorraine, and there are also rumors.
Yeah,
right?
and none of those rumors about Lorraine were true.
Sometimes the rumors are true, in terms like of a John Baird, for example, and then other times they're just people want certain things to be true so that they can take shots.
Correct. Yeah, and I heard all the rumors about Lorraine, but I was like,
hey, I'm human. It's not like I didn't take a few. So say, I'm gonna cop. Back in the day, back in the day when it's like it seemed to like, oh, really, that happened, and that seems, I wasn't really gonna think it's true, but okay. I mean, gee, if her nickname around there was even rumors that her nickname around the bottom of the hill was the L word. For the title of the show that was popular at the time.
Yes,
right? So I mean, when in our community, when it gets down to that grain of detail, that's where we start wondering, maybe, could it be?
Well, the question posed from Mr. Jim here, and I agree. What would it matter if he was in the closet? I don't give a shit. It says other than it would make him subject to blackmail, which is the question as to why he hasn't gotten a security clearance. Because you remember who said about the questions are very probing. They'll ask about your relatives, your sex life. I'm like, why would you say that?
Well, the clip that we showed from the guy, it said it boils down to, are you blackmailable?
Yeah.
Pretty much, right? So it's not whether who you are or what you do is good or bad. It's whether or not it can be used against you. Right? Sometimes it is bad and can be used against you, and that's why you're not talking about it. Sometimes you just think it's none of anybody else's business, so you don't talk about it. But it's neither good or bad. And sometimes it's just titillating and salacious. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
no argument.
I'm far be it from me to judge what happens in people's bedrooms. Yes, but it's like we're kink positive on the show. There are kinky people.
Yes.
There are certain things that kinky people do if it got out into public could destroy careers. It's still consenting adults, but the ick factor, right? So
Well, apparently Mike Johnson
I'm just
was
so,
caught on
but
Grindr.
yeah, but that's what I mean. Yeah, I know. So that's what I mean. So sometimes it's not terrible.
Mhm.
It's just how's it gonna play,
Well,
right?
look, if Anite is his beard and his children are his shield, he has his reasons, whatever they are. I don't know. I don't care about his sexuality. I don't give a shit. I never have. I never will. What he does in the privacy of his own home is his business.
So
I
long
don't
as
give
you
a
don't
damn.
use your position of power to then punch down on
There you
people who
go.
are like you.
And that's it. That's it right there, sir. That is it right there. He voted against same-sex marriage the day his adopted father, was in the House of Commons.
Yep. I know. Right. So
Like, how could you do that?
I know. I don't. Hey, from this side of the rainbow, we've seen it all, right?
I
So,
know. Yeah, I know. For me, it's just astonishing. That's the man who raised you, and you would deny him the legal right to a union with.
Look, we had Jason Kenney with loved ones of partners of HIV patients. Keep them separated. Don't
in
let
San
them see them.
Francisco. Yeah, and he bragged about that.
And he bragged about that, right? So I mean, just like I can't understand it. I don't try to understand it. I know that it exists. I stand against it. And yeah, it's. But yeah, there comes a point if you're in this life where you've seen enough of it and a lot of it, and I think anybody who's a traditionally set upon minority, after a while, it's just so much.
Oh yes,
That's it's like how did that expression SSDD, same shit, different day. Mine's like sometimes life's a sitch sandwich, and every day just tastes like another bite.
Well,
it's right. It's not surprising. It comes on schedule.
You remember the old saying? I don't know if you remember this one. Life is like a shit sandwich. The more bread you've got, the less shit you got to eat.
Yeah, exactly.
Filthy lucre. I'm like, yeah, that's true. That's very true.
That's a good one.
I know. I've always loved that saying because it's like,
yeah.
I don't think there's anybody on earth who cannot identify with that.
Indeed.
Maybe you have to change bread to something else, but if it means the same in parlance and in whatever your culture or language is, you get it.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all a big long round to say that for PP specifically, right? This and his party, things with their base that is highly motivated to come out, whatnot, things are not going so bad, and they do not perceive it as going so bad, right? Things they are getting the campaign they asked for.
Yeah. Oh, they are.
I guess
they are.
very little punching down on Trump. Like this and all the stuff, like this, all the terrible things that the liberals did, that they canceled Energy East and did that and did this too. They're getting the campaign they wanted.
Is he still calling him carbon tax Carney though?
No, that seems to have dropped. In the public, I'd have to check out the rallies to see if it's still there. But yeah, that one might be one that he's had to drop because he just looks a little foolish.
I think somebody at a rally in somewhere in New Brunswick shouted, "Lock him up." And apparently, Pierre Poilievre tamped that down and says, no. I'm like, really? Okay. Well, if he did that, I read this. I haven't seen it. Apparently, there's footage. If he did that, kudos, correct thing to do. I don't know I just read about it, so it's hearsay at this point. But if he did that, kudos. And I can't believe I just gave kudos to a man who I despise, but broken clock, right? Twice a day on average.
All right. I'll
see if you can find that. Yeah.
I'll check to see if we can find that because all right. Now that's with looking at the polls a little bit here. With
Oh, it's time
three,
for coffee?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'll
With
be right
poll
back.
tracker, CBC's poll tracker, Liberals gained another 0.8% on the 31st. I'm not sure if there's any numbers out for yet for today. Um, but that and the Conservatives dropped to 0.3, so that's a 1.1% gain there in one day, and they are inching very closer to the 200 here. We have at 197, Conservatives up 123, Bloc at 19, so under 20. Your Democrats at 3, Green at 1 over here, with an 80% probability to now that Liberals will win a majority, and only a 6% probability that the Conservatives could win anything whatsoever. According to Canada Polling, March 31st as well. One new poll from a company called MQO that I'm not familiar with at all, so I can't vouch, that shows Liberals at plus 11. New updates from Nanos that shows the Liberals at plus 8, Liaison, Liberals at plus 5, and Main Street to Liberals plus 3. All parties remain steady at the national level except for the Bloc, which drops 1 point since yesterday. More on the Bloc when we get to the model update, it says in here. So now it's showing a 6-point spread at the national level, 43 for Liberals, 37 for Conservatives, 9 for the NDP, 5% for the Bloc Québécois, 2.5% for the Greens, 2.2 for the PPC, and 0.9 for others. And on the seat count for this one, the image is not loading. So we will try that again, because thank goodness for the refresh button every now and then. It seems this one shows 199 for the Liberals, 119 for the Conservatives. So the first drop under 120 for the Conservatives, and as close to 200 as we've seen yet. 18 for the Bloc, 6 for the NDP, and 1 for the Greens. And then the final one that we have for you, kids and cubs, is 338canada.com. And with this one, when we're looking at the federal projections, we have Liberals 42, Conservatives at 38. So this is the one that is showing a little tightening in the numbers. The other two have not picked up that yet. And with the seats, also a little bit of tightening. 187 for the Liberals, down from 189, and 129 for the Conservatives, up from about 127, showing the other day. So
It's very tight, like a toy girl.
it's very tight, but that can be expected as well. Coming down, there might even be a more narrowing, getting closer to the debates as we get there, and then a widening after the debates, depending on what happens. So again, that's why I say polls are fuel, not comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, that's the water temperature of the water. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. There's a situation with an MP called Paul Chiang, who made some comments that are disturbing and offensive. Now, we've learned more about the story than I knew yesterday, and it seems that there is some context in that these were comments that he made to Chinese language media. And unfortunately, in Canada, candidates who speak to media of languages other than English and French, their comments are very rarely re-reported back to us in English and in French. So we really don't know what they say. Now, it would seem that the comments were said to a pool of journalists that were there in Chinese language media, and that there was a sort of joking thing to it. I'm not sure if there was there's a cultural element to it that makes it so, in terms of different senses of humor. Right?
It's not a joke that should be made, though. Period.
I am not debating this. The context is it does not seem that he was like, go round him up and bring him over to get right. It wasn't a call to action.
Right.
It would seem. So Liberal leader Mark Carney seemed to have been willing to blow some political capital on keeping him within the fold. And yesterday, as Mr. Gisley and I made clear, regardless, there are certain things, you know what, even if, they still got to go. Now,
Period. Yeah.
more of the even ifs, it seems that this person was a police officer for over 25 years.
Mhm.
Of course, that always prompts me to ask, was there anything in his record?
Right.
Right, because that's being a
But-
police officer is not enough anymore in 2025.
No.
So hopefully somebody looked into that before Mr. Carney gave him his full support, because that would create an issue. Now,
We don't know what was
you
said
have
behind
to
closed
look.
doors. And the thing is, it's like the way Carney came out to defend him quickly and said, "I accept his," but I'm like, I
Yeah.
think it was the wrong move. Period. And a lot of people I saw coming online to defend his apology said there was a time when you could apologize for doing something, and if you were sincere, you could move on. And I'm like, yes, I agree with that, except that time isn't today, and you can't make statements like that.
Yep.
If you had
You're
made
right.
that statement 40 years ago, I still would have asked you to step down.
Right.
Because it's just wrong.
It's
It's
just wrong.
wrong.
On a human scale, it's wrong.
It's wrong. And I
Right.
don't care if it was said in a joking manner. You said it to the press. It wasn't over coffee or a pint or dinner or a card game with some friends in a joking manner. You said it to a public forum. And that's it. That's enough to end it.
hmm So it would seem that he's a police officer. It seems that he had done some work with regard to things uh, related to what people call DEI now
Mhm.
these days. Um, it seems that he also has family in Hong Kong, so that he would know. Right? Now, while all this may go to the fact that he wasn't maybe not serious about asking people to say, grab someone and hand them over. It would seem also that the person in question is a person that has a YouTube channel that posts pro-democracy videos, and therefore is already has the attention,
Mhm. Mhm.
right, of the government over there. And you'll notice that, by the way, in certain clips, if we get around to them, PP is back to saying Beijing
Oh yeah, of course. He
when
said
talking
China
about
once.
this, rather than China.
China once, yeah.
Um,
I'm sure his handlers went, "You can't say the word China."
not on this. So, right now, you have all of this on one side. We read an article into the record before saying that Carney's tough but fair. So he's maybe trying to set an example to his party that I can be tough but fair.
Mhm.
The problem is, and the other thing you could say maybe of Carney is that, he's not a political beast. Okay. Let's say you give him all these excuses.
Mhm.
He has political aides here. And
Yes,
whoever
but
they are, like this, that was political malpractice to let him go out
absolutely.
that first time and try to say, you know what, hey, Trump is going to come with his tariffs on the second, maybe earlier on the first. We need that. That's going to overtake the thing. We can just ride this thing out. Like this keeps this guy. You still have till the 7th to change him on the ballot, right? So it's not even like you're going to lose those votes,
Right.
right?
Right.
Just there is nothing to be gained by keeping him, and only noise and distraction to get into your campaign. So you made the wrong decision.
Made the wrong
Decided he was
decision.
going to keep him. Then, over the course of the evening, it would seem that the RCMP had a little announcement to make, because, some people complained
Oh.
to the RCMP about this type of thing. Said, you know what? We're not sure that this is the type of thing that people should be saying. Is there something there for you to investigate? And well, the RCMP announced yesterday evening that, according to Catherine Tunney of CBC News, is reviewing whether a Toronto area Liberal candidate broke the law by suggesting people turn in a Conservative now running in a nearby riding to the Chinese consulate and collect a bounty. Quote, foreign actor interference, including instances of transnational repression, continues to be a pervasive threat in Canada, said Bounty spokesperson Christine Kelly in a statement to CBC News on Monday night. The RCMP is looking into the matter. However, no specific details can be provided at this time. The RCMP involvement adds pressure on Liberal leader Mark Carney, who's facing calls to drop Paul Chiang as the party's candidate in Markham Unionville. Carney called the comments, quote, deeply offensive at a campaign stop in Vaughan, Ontario early Monday, but said Chiang will remain a candidate. I view this as a teachable moment, Carney said.
Now, let me interject there for a second. It is a teachable moment. It will teach you that you do not say those things. You need to step down. That's the lesson. You don't say those things. Now it's time for you to go. You cannot drag the party down.
Now
that's the lesson.
Now here's some things that people might not know. That add a little color and texture to maybe the Conservative and NDP response.
Are you referring to his opponent that he said those things about?
Potentially, but you listen to this one. The controversy dates back to January, when Chiang, the incumbent MP, told a Chinese language media news conference that people could cash in if they turned Zhou Tai into the Chinese consulate in Toronto. At the time, Tai was seeking the party's nomination in Chiang's riding. He is now running for the Conservatives in the suburban Toronto battleground riding of Don Valley. In December, Hong Kong police issued a bounty and arrest warrant for Tai worth 1 million Hong Kong dollars, roughly 184,000 Canadian, and other China democracy advocates. Tai is a co-founder of Canada-based NGO Hong Konger Station and runs a YouTube channel that promotes democracy and free speech. So it would seem that there was another bit of context to be given to this, that he was... these contexts by Chiang were made a bit in the context of saying, well, my opponent clearly is a risk. The government of China put a bounty on him.
Well,
right? As a reason not to vote for him.
Apparently, Zhou Tai, his opponent, is also a big-time Trump supporter, apparently.
Well, he's running for the Conservatives, right?
From posts he's put on Facebook.
Yeah.
So...
yeah, which again adds some color and texture, right?
Right.
The warrants are largely seen as a way for authorities in Beijing-controlled Hong Kong to target vocal critics based abroad. At the time, Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly denounced the bounties. So this is something that's happened in December, the bounties, in January. It's coming back up to light now. See, now, this smells like Conservatives. Well, we've tried so hard to find something on Carney, we can't. So now let's go into the pasts of all the candidates and find something and see if Carney flubs the ball on handling the situation, which in this case, he did. But you see some people saying like, this is terrible and shouldn't happen and should be said. And it's like, yes. And where were you when people showing up on Parliament Hill with hang Trudeau for treason with nooses?
Yeah, you didn't say anything about that. I think you kind of rode that to the leadership.
Yeah. So, right. This is terrible that this could be happening to Canadian citizens to have their rights, said the people who said nothing about Maher Arar.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, an innocent man who was railroaded.
Okay, so this happened in January. The federal government did denounce the bounties when they happened. Now, a little more color and texture is that right as the election campaign was starting, the Communist government of China, I believe, made an announcement that it had executed 4 Canadian citizens for alleged stuff like drug trafficking and stuff like that.
Which just heightens why his statement is really bad. Really
now,
bad. And I don't know the man.
they announced this after he made his statement, of course, right?
Yes.
But the election started, and now we're finding this out. So, of course, we have the context of the conservatives already trying to say, well, when he was with Brookfield, Carney made a deal once with China, so therefore he must really love a secret deal, must really love the Chinese Communist government when you guys, and that's from the mouths of the people that voted for a 31-year deal with China that was made in secret and signed in Russia.
Yeah. Pot. May I introduce you to the kettle?
That we still don't know everything about.
No.
So again, it's not a problem. It's not the fact that you have a problem with secret deals. It's not the problem it's not that you have a problem with secret deals with China. It's not a problem. It's a problem that he made a deal, right? So again, the subject matter is serious.
Very. Very.
Right? There is a failure of a principles test here on the part of Mark Carney.
Yes.
I guess maybe, again, he was trying to highlight a different principle here, that I can be tough and fair and a good boss and whatnot to his other colleagues, but you missed a moment here.
You blew it.
You missed a moment. And those who didn't point it out to you failed you.
Yes. Bro.
And a head or two should roll. A head or two should roll within that campaign.
Yes.
For this.
Simple as that.
Because this is a layup.
I don't know Paul Chiang. He could be a very nice man. I have no idea.
It doesn't matter.
It's irrelevant. Bro, what you said was wrong. Again, you said it in a cocktail party. You said it at a dinner party, over coffee, having a pint, or just in a chat with a friend.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's you're allowed to have thoughts like that. You said this to the press.
Yep.
Knowing full well who would hear it.
Yep. Exactly. And again, on the conservatives, may I remind you again that you are sharing benches next to Garnet Genuis, who has openly advocated for the torture of children.
Yes.
If they happen to be rainbow.
Yeah.
Right. So please, on the, I can't believe somebody's rights could be taken. Now, the people who have a legitimate right to be upset are people from the Chinese diaspora community in particular, and any other Canadian from a diaspora community from any of these nations that we've sort of heard about in the foreign interference, public inquiry, and report that tend to engage in these similar types of practices. Because yesterday, somebody also failed the principle test for you. Because if you're okay with it in the case that it's China, then why wouldn't you be okay with it if it's India or Iran or any other nation,
Right.
allegedly?
Allegedly.
Right? Not a good moment at all. So yeah, it seems that Paul Chiang got the police officer pass. He was once a police officer for over 25 years, served his community well, worked on, inclusion and diversity stuff like this. It's not in his heart.
We don't know.
I don't care.
And you're right, I don't care either. It was the wrong thing to say. Period.
Everything good that you've done before in your life does not justify or make this particular thing go away.
Well, I mean, from the CBC article, it says in an open letter to Commissioner Mike Duhem, the group, which is, what is the name of the group here? Hong Kong Watch. The group suggested Chiang's comments might fit the criminal code definition of counseling to commit the indictable offense of kidnapping. The group also pointed to a provision of a foreign interference bill, which makes it an offense to intimidate or threaten a person for the benefit of or in association with a foreign entity. I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah.
Indeed.
I mean, he may be in a lot of hot water over this.
Yes. Carney called the comments lapse in judgment and defended Chiang as a veteran police officer with, quote, more than a quarter-century service to his community. Quote, this is a person of integrity, Carney said. It's also an individual who has a family in Hong Kong. He's under no illusions about the situation there, the situation abroad or China.
Mm-hmm.
Tay has spoken out, calling the comments, quote, insidious and saying how he now fears for his safety. Quote, his threatening public comments were intended to intimidate me and they must not be tolerated, Tay said in a statement on Monday. Quote, they are intended to send a chilling signal to the entire community in order to force compliance to Beijing's political goals. Tay said, now, again, not sure that was Mr. Chiang's intent in saying those words, but he said those words and he opened the door to have his intentions questioned.
It's that simple.
Right. Tay said even before Chiang's comment, he had been in touch with the RCMP about personal protection, quote, suggesting that people collect a bounty from the Chinese Communist Party to deliver a political opponent to the Chinese consulate is disgusting and must never be condoned. And he is absolutely right. Chiang issued an apology. Now, here's another thing that Mr. Carney calculated into his response, but it should have been a non-issue, as Mr. Grizzly mentioned earlier. Chiang issued an apology Friday, saying his comments, quote, were deplorable. Carney faced multiple questions from reporters about Chiang during his Monday morning housing announcement. He said Chiang has apologized directly to Tay. Not really. Quote, he will continue with his candidacy going forward, having made those apologies very clearly to the individual, to the community, and moving forward to serve, said Carney. However, Tay characterized the apology, quote, as an unsolicited attempt to contact me. Now,
and apparently they spoke on March 30th.
Mm-hmm.
According to Paul Chiang, he says, today I spoke with Joseph Tay, the Conservative candidate for Don Valley North, to personally apologize for the comments I made this past January. Terrible lapse in judgment. I recognize the severity of the statement, deeply disappointed in myself. And then he ends it with, as a 28-year police veteran, I have always strived to treat people with respect and dignity. In this case, I failed to meet that standard. I know better, and it will never happen again.
Okay. Unreserved apology.
Yeah.
Good first step.
Yeah.
Still doesn't mean you don't have to go.
Yeah, well, and then, of course, 8 hours ago, he issued the statement that he's stepping down, right?
Yep. Right. So, Tay characterized the apologies as an unsolicited attempt to contact me. Yes, but however, if somebody wants to apologize, any attempt to contact you is going to be unsolicited.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Right. So the unsolicited part, but unwelcome, maybe, especially after all this time, especially considering that the only reason he appears to be apologizing is this context. Right. So yes, but unsolicited. I mean, if somebody's going to make the first move on an apology, it's like, even if they solicit you to ask you whether or not their apology could be solicited, that's still soliciting you without being solicited.
Well,
at some point, the chicken or the egg has to come first on this one.
From PNC Bio, he says, I think there's a difference if I say something sarcastically or I say something dead serious, or are we not looking at context anymore? Okay, no argument with that statement. None. It's a valid statement, and I agree with it. But in this instance, you, knowing full well what you said about your political opponent, knowing that they have family back in Hong Kong, you could place them and their family in serious jeopardy. It's like, and we'll go back to the old one, you can't shout fire in a movie theater.
And there are just certain things about which you don't joke.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, again, right? Dark humor in your circle, people who already pre-consent to that type of humor, that's one thing. This is a media scrum.
Yeah.
That's a time and place thing.
Like I said, if he had said that with friends over dinner, the coffee.
We could still be shocked and appalled, but
you said it to the press.
Yeah.
It's not a joke you should make.
Somebody could act on that. Again, if you didn't, when it gets translated into writing, remember, you lose all tone and inflection.
Yes.
So unless those notes are put there, specifically to tell you that, number one, But number two, so I mean, this is color and texture we're getting from people who were there. But remember, these events are not covered by English or French media. What's written when there's an article, nobody goes and reads them and then translates them back for us, unless an issue comes up. Right. So we have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is something that we need a policy for, that when you do an interview for foreign language media, because you have that ability, which is a plus, because it does get translated back so that we know what you said while you are representing us. Maybe we need to put some money into that.
Well, considering we are a multicultural society, it's not a terrible idea, sir. Because we are speaking to different cultures daily.
Yeah.
Right? And not everything translates the way it was always meant.
Maybe that's one of the things that we just, as a result of this foreign interference inquiry and this incident, you know what? Yes. Because, I mean,
color,
if you're
texture,
giving interviews,
tone, body language,
right? But if you're giving interviews to foreign language media, surely you're telling someone in the media department with your party and whatnot that you're doing this and that it's being published. So you know to look for it, then grab it and have it translated. Now, we may not have seen a need for that before, but maybe now there is.
Maybe.
Right? I want to be clear, no apology is sufficient, said Tay. Gloria Fung, head of the community group Canada Hong Kong Link, said she was absolutely appalled by Carney's response. Quote, he has sent out the wrong message to Canadians that his party is not serious about the threat of transnational repression and election interference from a hostile foreign state player on Canadian soil. And that is the message he sent. It will also be sending a green light to foreign state players that they can continue with high yield, low-cost transnational repression and foreign interference without any consequence. I can't believe what I heard this morning. Fung's group is one of 40 diaspora organizations calling on Carney to revoke Chiang's candidacy. The comments were widely seen as legitimizing foreign interference and potentially threatening Tay's safety, wrote a coalition of Canadian Hong Kong groups in a statement Sunday. So the diaspora groups called for the RCMP probe. They wrote an open letter to Commissioner Mike Duhem. The group suggested Chiang's comments might fit the criminal code definition of counseling to commit the indictable offense of kidnapping, as Mr. Wesley stated here. It is without question that Mr. Chiang's comments are an attempt to intimidate Mr. Tay and his supporters and to silence him during an election, wrote Ed Simpson, interim director of Hong Kong Watch. It is without question that there are implicit threats of violence and an illegitimate reward in the form of a bounty. In response to the letter, the RCMP spokesperson said the force takes reports and allegations of transnational repression seriously and has dedicated resources for, quote, investigating criminal activity related to foreign interference in Canada's democratic processes. To ensure the integrity of our investigations, the RCMP typically does not disclose information relating to investigations unless criminal charges are laid, rendering it a matter of public record, Kelly said. Earlier Monday, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre said the comments go beyond being inappropriate or an off-color joke. Quote, Joe Tay is extremely afraid. He's afraid for his life, Poilievre said during a stop in St. John, New Brunswick. These comments by this Liberal candidate may well rise to the level of criminal because they called for someone to be turned over to a hostile foreign government on a bounty, a government that wants to kill this Canadian citizen, which again, all the words are right, but you were there for Maher.
Yes. Yes, you were.
Just saying. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh said Chiang's comments would be disturbing for the many Canadians who have fled repressive regimes and still live in fear. As the foreign interference inquiry heard, Beijing is known to harass and intimidate members of the Chinese diaspora to assert control and suppress dissident views. Quote, for Mark Carney to say, I'm going to accept his candidate really sends a message that that kind of commentary ultimately is acceptable. Ultimately saying that for the folks out there who are afraid, the folks living with constant fear, you know what? You're less important to me. What's important to me is my party.
I agree with him. He nailed it. He did. He absolutely did. That he's right. You remember, people oftentimes come to this country for, yes, sheer opportunity, employment, blah, 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 family. Oftentimes they come here to escape a repressive regime that would do them harm for simply existing.
Yep. A spokesperson for the Security and Intelligence Threats to Election Site Task Force, and by the way, they're giving updates, I think, on a weekly basis.
Yeah, they gave one yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want more information about that type of stuff and the alerting to scams and whatnot, check those out on YouTube. I think you can find them on the CBC site. I think they carry under their live tab or something. They show them, but if not, you'll find them under at CPAC for sure. Right?
Very cool.
Do check them out. So a spokesperson for the site task force, the body set up to monitor foreign interference during elections and leadership contests, said the comments don't fall under its mandate. Site is made up of the RCMP, the Communications Security Establishment, Canadian Security Intelligence Service, and Global Affairs Canada, because this is a domestic thing that somebody said here on Canadian soil. The task force reports to what's called the Panel of Five, which is made up of senior government officials who decide whether to go public with a warning to Canadians about possible election interference. Quote, the bounty against the other person is an example of transnational repression, said Lauriane Kempton with the Privy Council office during a briefing Monday. Site is concerned about the bounty placed by Hong Kong on Mr. Tay. Now, as Mr. Grizzly stated, there were some developments since, and the development is specifically that MP Paul Chiang has decided to withdraw from the race. The move comes after the RCMP announced the probe, of course, into the comments. So this is from Ashley Burke. Embattled Toronto area Liberal candidate Paul Chiang is dropping out of the race just hours after the RCMP told CBC News it's looking into whether he broke the law by suggesting people turn a Conservative candidate running in a nearby riding into the Chinese consulate to collect a bounty. Quote, as the Prime Minister and Team Canada work to stand up to President Donald Trump and protect our economy, I do not want there to be distractions in this critical moment, Chiang wrote just before midnight on Monday in a statement posted to social media site X. That's why I'm standing aside as our 2025 candidate in our community of Markham Unionville. Okay, so I don't want to be a distraction. What I've been saying, eliminate all noise.
Yes.
Now, the problem here, unfortunately, is that this now looks like politics and not principle. It's not too late now for him to go because he had to go, but it's too late now for him to go and then for you to go back to the diaspora communities and said, see, I have you. You missed that moment. And what did you miss it for? A couple of hours later, he pulled out because there was an RCMP probe.
Well, and this commentary from Tim McCaffrey is interesting. He says, I agree with everything said here, but the faux outrage of Pierre Poilievre, who is fine with nooses and gallows for Trudeau. Yep. Two things can be true. Not whataboutism. Just don't pearl clutch. And
that's what we mentioned.
That's, yeah.
We led with that.
Yes. So you looked the other way when things went your way.
That's what I mean. We're talking about Mark Carney failing a principle test here. But let's not forget that those who are pearl clutching failed this principle test many times.
Mm-hmm.
Many times.
Well, and this is the thing, is if you want to be the party of
the charter
honor, yes. If that's what you want to be the honorable party, do the honorable thing. Paul Chiang did the honorable thing for the dishonorable thing he did in January. He stepped aside. He stepped aside for all the right reasons, too. I realize this is going to drag my party down. It's important that the Liberal government gets elected because Mark Carney is the best person to deal with Donald Trump.
Yes, but again, color and texture.
Yes.
Had he done that before the RCMP announced a probe,
that would have looked much better. Yeah. Now it's kind of like, oh shit, I'm out.
Again, one of my favorite expressions or quotes The last temptation is the greatest treason, to do the right deed for the wrong reason.
Yes. Yes.
T.S. Eliot.
It's just
Right? It's like, before the probe. Or maybe when you called them to apologize on the 30th and she thought it was unwelcome and said, you know what, this might blow up. Now might be a good time for me to say, you know what, I need to step down. Something's going to happen. But you waited until there was a probe. Now you still went. Like this, and at the end of the day, like this may end up being, at the end of the day, when all the votes are cast at the end, like this says, yeah, it was a 1 or 2 day story, and other events took over. But to those communities, though,
it's not a
did they go and vote?
Yeah,
for Carney. Even if they did
they do it like
doubt,
this?
There's a seed of doubt that's planted now.
Mm-hmm. There is.
Will he have our backs? Is he serious about this? Will he?
The diaspora certainly, I'm sure, feels like that right now.
And all for what? For what? 12 extra hours of him on the campaign?
Mm-hmm.
For what? That's why sometimes you got to cut bait.
Oh, yeah.
We're posting it all day. Just cut him. It doesn't matter. Cut him. Cut him.
Bro, you got to go. I'm sorry, but...
Listen, on a human scale, it might be a nice thing, like, listen, I heard his story. We went and checked like this. He didn't really mean it like this. He's learned from it. He's tried to apologize. Just because you apologize doesn't mean anybody needs to accept it, right? The act of apologizing or wanting to or attempting is enough. When you're doing things for the right reason and first granting forgiveness to yourself. When you have an apology that's coming up, oh, darn, poop just hit the fan. I guess I should probably apologize, even though I said this back in January and had all this time to apologize and realize it was wrong. But, oh well. But now it seems a little convenient that I should do this. That lands different. It hits different, right?
It does.
It's not the, you're sitting at home and you're doing the mirror test and you just can't live with yourself. So you pick up the phone and you go and apologize. This is life's coming at you fast, so you pick up the phone. This is damage control. This is not a sincere apology. I shouldn't say that. The apology still might be sincere, but it is colored by the damage control. And again, it plants the seed of doubt, which never would have been planted had you just apologized when you realized it was wrong. And I'm pretty sure you realized it was wrong before the 30th.
I would think so.
I would think so. Because I'm sure there was some reaction at that time.
Yeah.
When he made it. That got to him. Maybe even in his own language.
Who knows?
Who knows, right? So,
one interesting comment I see here, though, says, well, Chiang is gone and Polyev still doesn't have a security clearance. What's in store for today, folks? More softballs? And then the comment to that is, and Polyev was voted as leader of the Khans with the help of India. Should Chiang be a bigger story than a political leader without security clearance who was unknowingly helped by a foreign country?
Chiang should not. The fact that NMP, any MP, any stripe, any whatnot, made a joke about surrendering someone to a fascist regime in exchange for money.
Yeah.
That's the principle.
That's the principle.
Right? It's not, you have to game this out. If this actually happened, what would happen to Mr. Tay? Probably something similar that happened to, the end result, something similar that happened to Mr. Singh Najar.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Wouldn't have been out in public, maybe wouldn't have been on Canadian soil, but the end result probably would have been the same.
And this is the crux of it all, right?
Right? It's not comparing.
No.
Right? This on its own is bad enough. It does not excuse all the other stuff that other people did. Doesn't
No.
make other stuff other people did bad. This thing on its own, in a vacuum, all on its own, is bad enough.
Like I said, I read lots of people who came out to say, well, he apologized. That should be acceptable. I'm like,
No,
no, it's not enough. It
not for
isn't.
this.
Not in this instance. No, absolutely not. And I'm
That's,
not, don't,
that's like when
for a minute.
you physically assault someone and say sorry after.
Don't for a minute think that I am a holier than thou. I'm not. I have my share of past sins. I've made so many mistakes in my life. So many. However, I never made one as egregious as that.
See, here's the thing, right? It's the debate. Do you do right by the person?
Mm-hmm.
Do you do right by the party? Again, maybe he is 28 years, pillar of the community, had one bad moment. Maybe it was even in a joking fashion. Doesn't, right? All that kind of stuff. If you're being tough, kind of easy on the person and tough on the problem, you keep him in the fold. You make sure he takes whatever training, the diversity training. You monitor him. You do all that type of stuff. Yes, this is an election.
Mm-hmm.
There are X number of days.
Yes.
And the context is that you're doing well, but not because the other party is tanking with its supporters, but because you got a polarized election. Most Canadians see a need to have one person over the other. But you can lose that if you lose that confidence. And you've got 29 more days to lose it. The confidence came quickly. It can go quickly. Like Monsieur Blanchet said, I read Newton. What goes up comes down.
Mm-hmm.
If it's good for me, it's good for Mr. Carney. There is such thing as political gravity.
Yes.
He just added some weight onto some of his ankles.
Unnecessarily so.
So if you're doing right by the person, okay, give him a chance, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, sure. But it's politics. It's a blood sport. You cut. You just cut. On the battlefield of war, you don't leave a man behind. On the battlefield of politics, it's like, see ya. Roll into a ball and duck. Push out of the car. It's like, it's politics. And this was a candidate that needed to be pushed out of a moving car and was not.
It's over. It's done.
Listen, it's cold. It's calculating. I get it. Maybe not fair. Like this to Mr. Chiang, because this moment will probably define when you do a Google search now for the next 5 years. It'll probably his name. It'll probably be this moment, right?
That's his legacy.
Yeah, it's not fair. Politics isn't fair.
Mm-hmm.
Again, don't run to politics for morality. It's where you go to see the most base of human behavior, really. I mean, people ask me like how do you see how you see this coming? It's like it's a lot of it's just fundamental human behavior. If you're being real,
if the question gets posed, why are you holding him to a higher standard? Because I'm supposed to. He represents all the constituents in his riding. I hold politicians, police, members of the military to a higher standard because you represent the public directly. You should be held to a higher standard.
You sought to be held to a higher standard by taking these positions.
Period.
These are positions of trust. You cannot breach the public trust.
I don't need or want you to be perfect.
No.
Perfection is boring. But I do want you to do better.
And there are moments where if you
human.
have a serious lapse of judgment or you lack discernment, there is a price you need to pay.
It's as simple as that. We're human. We make mistakes. We're going to make mistakes. He made an egregious mistake.
And it should come with the commensurate cost.
And it has. I'm not saying destroy his life
No.
at all. But the RCMP will investigate, and if they find him guilty, he will be tried by a jury of his peers.
Mhm. And again, right, out of a nation of 42 million,
Mm-hmm.
343 are chosen. There's no reason it needs to be him.
Correct.
If you make that type of error, sorry. There are certain mistakes you are allowed, and there are certain mistakes you are not allowed. Again, if you enter the politics, this is the type of thing you should know better before you even start.
Well,
Right.
I think that the commentary here from PNC Bio, I think letting him resign rather than fire him was the right move as a manager. Sorry. No, you don't need to apologize. I agree with you.
Yep.
The mistake was, and from Saucy Seawitch, I'm thinking that Carney was waiting for the resignation first. It's a better look and takes away ammo from the Conservatives for axing the candidate. Problem being,
But he didn't need to say he has my full support.
there's the problem. There's
He
the
could have
problem.
just waited.
Just wait. He could have said, we're looking into the allegations. I'm not fully apprised of it right now. We will do
take this
some
very
investigation.
seriously.
We take it seriously. We will get back to you. That's what he should have done.
Because at first blush, this is extremely concerning.
Yes. I don't know the full context of what took place. I will get back to you. That would have been the perfect response. The political response. The one that politicians should make in an instance such as this. You have to be diplomatic when it comes to this. And he dropped the ball.
Yep. He dropped
And
the ball.
again, like you said, somebody on his staff needs to go.
Oh, that's that. Right. The fact that he is not a politician is a selling point. So when he makes a not a politician mistake like this one, because he has the team. Right. So yes, there should be another price here to be paid. But for the campaign, minus the collateral damage and the political capital that he needlessly spent, odds are this will be a one-day thing. Odds are, when I was commenting about this, it's like also for cutting bait. We are March 31st yesterday. The debates are on April 16th.
Right.
Do not make this a debate question. And don't wait so long to do this that it becomes a debate question, because then you lose the political capital at first, you take the hit for a certain number of days for keeping him before he goes, and you make sure the issue comes back 10 days later when you want people to forget it. So it's like, do it now.
Saucy Sea,
Take out the whole egg.
Commentary says, won't lie. This won't be remembered after it's all said and done.
Nope.
Done. Trump is too big of a problem. Canadians aren't going to care about this. Only diehard political fans. And the diaspora.
Yes. Who no
Which,
longer.
By the way, in Toronto alone is 1.5 million.
Yes. This was just.
Just
Again,
Toronto. Just Toronto.
Take the morality out of it. Just cold calculating math. This was one man is not worth potential 1.4 million votes.
And that's just in
cut
one
him.
city, right?
Just cut him.
Yeah.
That's like again.
Moving on. Let's move on. I need to move on.
Yes.
Sorry.
Well, I want to. So
I don't want to feel like we're picking on the man.
No. It's not. Listen, we say it on the show, right? We are progressive with a capital P, large scale, right? If you're anywhere like from green to progressive conservative, you will find something like this. Yes, but nonpartisan.
Nonpartisan.
We speak very favorably of the Liberals for a long time on our show, mainly because we have two opposition parties who are just not fitting the bill, and they are the only ones that are offering actual adults in the room. So it's not it's not that we're particularly enamored with the Liberals, but we do like adults in the room, and only one party is offering. If it was a competition between 3 different adults in the room, like this would be a very different show.
If Joe Clark, Progressive Conservative Party, was running today, we'd come out in praise of him. But right now, there's only one adult in the room. I mean,
PP hates everything. Keeps on telling us that we're broken, and Jagmeet Singh is still acting like the jilted lover who wasn't called for prom. So, I mean, right? There's an expression in French, le choix s'impose. The choice imposes itself in this case, because the other two haven't stepped up to be adults in the room, to actually present a credible candidacy and to try to find some reasonable lane that they can occupy still with their whatever ideological perspective is. Right? The way that they place their attacks, the way that, it's the consistency over time. I mean, both of them have sown the seeds for the failure of their own campaign way long ago. I think Max Fawcett wrote sometime last December that Pierre's blowing it at that point, or he's making it such that he can't win. I mean, we've seen this. We've been commenting on this, right? So there is that factor. But again, as we keep on saying, you need to first be toughest on your own team. There are people who want to wear your team jersey, who you should not want to wear them.
Simple as that.
Right? There is some discernment here. Right? There are, every now and then, there's some like the Conservatives with Kevin O'Leary. That's someone they should just be weeding out of their team.
Yes.
Completely out. It's like, thank you. We know that you want to wear the blue jersey, but thank you. We will take that. You can have this. You can have this lovely purple one if you like this, or pink one, or one that's not associated with any part, like a yellow one if you like. But you cannot wear the blue one. Thank you very much. That's ours, and we're taking it back. Thank you. Right? As much as you want to be on our team, no. So you cannot sit here. You cannot sit with us. You need to do that. So it's like, again, if we are going to say that we are nonpartisan, right? It's like when something is as obviously wrong,
we're going to call it out.
Because if we don't do it, just because today it helps today because we're legitimately criticizing the side that we think should win.
Yes.
In this case, for having done something boneheaded when they actually did do something boneheaded, does not make it necessarily a good day for the other team. No. Or does it mean we support the other team more? At least not at the Beaver Lodge.
And we've tried to be open and transparent about this since day one. And sometimes a lot of people, I see the commentary on some of our videos, and like, you liberal cucks, you're just a George Soros. Look, man, I ain't gotten shit from any of those people. I saw a comment earlier this morning from somebody who says, how's Trudeau working out for you? I'm like, he's not the
quite well.
Prime
He's
Minister.
Probably renovating something right now.
He's resigned his position. He's not running in Papineauville. He's out of government. What a strange statement.
Yeah, he's working out fine for me.
Yeah. Maybe now we can get him on the show and have a pint with him at the pub.
Maybe. So here I want to because there's 2 good clips here in a discussion. We're going to Block C there, where you see the clip right over Brad Levine's name.
Just a second here. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I see that.
So we'll take that one. We'll go to 308 first on that one, because here's some examples of what I want to show you of some conservative pearl clutching here. So this is Lisa Raitt, who was also there during the time of Pierre Poilievre and all the stuff that the Conservatives were trying to make go away. There's also shared benches with Garnet Genuis.
you'll be watching for in the days ahead here, Eric, to figure out where this eventually lands?
The numbers I'm watching the most are the leadership numbers, because we've seen for Mark Carney versus
308,
Pierre
Mr.
Poilievre,
Grizzly?
the gap.
Oh, sorry, I went to 3. How did that happen? That was weird. There we go. Went to 3.
Oh, no.
Yeah, 308.
Ahead
Okay.
here, Eric, to
That's where it is.
figure out where this eventually lands.
The numbers I'm watching the most are
That's
the
weird.
leadership numbers, because we've seen for Mark Carney versus Pierre Poilievre, the gap between them two on who Canadians prefer to be Prime Minister, in most polls is usually bigger than the gap we see between the Liberals and the Conservatives. So if we continue to see those kinds of strong personal numbers for Mark Carney, I don't see a lot of signs that that gap between the Liberals and the Conservatives is going to get much smaller.
Okay, Eric, thanks so much. That's Eric Grenier, who runs the CBC Poll Tracker and, of course, the RIT.ca.
Very
That's the link
interesting.
you sent me. That's the link you sent me.
Yeah, hold on. I must. It must be a different timestamp. Sometimes the things get edited down from when I watch them,
Right.
and then get reposted. So
Yeah.
that
So it could
that
have
might
changed
be a,
from the original viewpoint, right?
yeah, that might have been what happened. Okay. I will look for that. It is in this one because I just saw her.
Oh, I got her. I
Scanning
got her
through the
here.
thing.
I got her
Yeah.
here.
So it might. I think it might be the first time you see her, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. It's
So
right
maybe
around-
6:53 instead.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. It's just doing what I was told.
No, you did. You did right. You did
numbers
good.
are high.
That was
They're
me.
just, the Liberals are higher.
I think what Pierre and his team knows is exactly who's going to come out to vote, meaning that, you know, the number that we saw earlier from Eric, those are pretty committed and decided voters. They're the ones who are going to show up day one of advanced polls to make sure that they get their vote count. They're the ones that are showing up at these massive rallies that really we haven't seen in conservative world. They're motivated and they want to vote. Whether or not the rest of the, you know, the voting universe is going to be that motivated, I don't know. I know in Ontario, in our last provincial election, there wasn't a lot of motivation to vote. In fact, the voter turnout wasn't that particularly robust, quite frankly. We may have a different situation here where Conservatives are actually emboldened to vote. They're going to get out there and make sure, because they're hearing what Pierre has to say. They remember the fact that the last 10 years, the Liberals have been in charge, and they want to see that change, not from Justin Trudeau to Mark Carney, but from Justin Trudeau's Liberal Party to Pierre Poilievre's Conservative Party. So I think that they can continue on playing their roles that they're playing. They're executing on the plan that they have. And I would just say to the candidates out there, because I was a candidate, right? And I remember what it's like to go out and knock on doors and kind of be worried about what you're hearing on the inside. The poll that matters is the one on the day of the vote. And what really makes the difference is you finding the vote in your community and getting them to the polling station. That's all that there is to an election campaign. So keep going, keep knocking, keep walking, find that vote, and worry about the poll when at the end of the day, and worry about the infighting that may or may not be happening.
Rob, there were a torrent of stories after Corey Tonight said what he said and did what he did.
Okay.
But, you know, there seems...
That's not the bit at all. I don't know what happened to it.
Okay.
But let's. Yeah, it's just really weird. But let's then go on to 10:35ish, 10:29, about where you have Brad Leving from the NDP making a very good point here.
Okay. There's a breaking story we'll have to get to right after this, because it may come as a shock to you. Well, right after you got to see this. It's going to blow your mind.
And what's going to help them or hurt them is Donald Trump.
Well, look, the TFSA one, I heard from Conservatives, like that one was there was a cross-scripting there, right? Because when your whole campaign has been people have to go to food banks and they're one paycheck away from, you know, ruin. I mean, where is the extra $5,000 for a Canadian-only TFSA?
You're trying
right?
to,
You know?
this is salami politics at this point. You're trying to slice off the seniors and bring them back to you.
Yeah, but I wonder, Brad, so many of the challenges that the Conservatives face right now in those numbers are kind of beyond their control. Like the highs and lows of the NDP, it's up to Mr. Singh to fix, right? Like there's not much Pierre Poilievre can do there. What happens with the Bloc in Quebec, there's not a tremendous amount Pierre Poilievre can do there about the robustness of their campaign. I mean, they're squeezed a little bit that they need other people to do well to favor the vote, to tilt the voting efficiency and the seat count in their favor.
It's everyone else's fault, David. It's everyone else's fault.
Well, no, it's just something.
No. It's everyone else's. It's not Pierre. No, Pierre's perfect. It's everyone else. It doesn't get me. None of what Lisa has explained here justifies why Pierre Poilievre can't talk about the ballot question, which your polling and Eric Grenier's polling suggests is the ballot question. It's what do you want to have done in light of the Trump tariff threats? And he almost seemed, in that clip that you played at the beginning, a little proud to say, even if I'm the only one, it's almost as if he'd rather go down than confront the ballot question. We talked about it last Monday. It's still Trump, and it's going to be more Trump this week because Wednesday is the day that the tariffs come on.
And it's not even really just tariffs; it's Trump and the whole disruption that comes with it.
We're going to have another major media cycle midweek, unless he punts it. But even if he punts it, we're still confronted with the hanging over us the threat of it. And I don't think that actually changes materially. People are going to be losing their jobs, no question. But for this election campaign, talking about none of what Lisa's talking about he's got and to Rob's point about the high ceiling, if this doesn't change for him, he's going to lose substantially, and unless he changes the tax. So he's out there at a sawmill with woodworkers who are about to lose their job, and he's talking about adding more vehicles of savings for those with an extra $5,000. Like that is, like we're talking about his inability to pivot. For certain that's a problem, and he's proudly sticking to the script because I guess he's proud if he has to go down, at least he's going down on his terms. But the notion that, he's going to not worry about Trump. Why is he worried about maybe losing some of that element? There is 10% of this country that actually like Donald Trump. What column are they under? Right now, they're under his.
About a third of his party, too.
And how afraid is he to lose those to the fringe right? So his inability to talk about the ballot question, to go for the middle, to get him over the 37.5%, is holding him back because he wants to keep on to the fringe of the right. That's the bigger challenge. Otherwise, talking about TFSAs at a sawmill that is about to shut down because of Donald Trump doesn't make any sense, no matter what day of the campaign.
We call that a home run, folks.
Yeah. So, kids and cubs, you will notice, of course, because you pay attention, that has nothing to do with Paul Chiang, because that was the next block that I sort of slipped into. My April Fools, I'm not sure if I mentioned it, was that everything technological today, I'm clicking on something and something completely different opens. I paste something and it's not at all. So here, apparently, the entire section C of the show moved into the middle of section B. And the clips that I was looking for were actually in section C. So that's what happened. But these two comments here from Lisa Raitt and Brad Levine, particularly to what we were talking about yesterday, everything like just not working for Pierre in any way, shape, or form here, and the inability to pivot, and the CPC civil war and all that kind of stuff. And again, both of them are making the points, right, where Lisa's talking about like what they see and what they need to do, and then Brad is talking about what it is that he sees, right? So you're getting the two takes of the campaign,
yes,
as they want them to see it. And I had a theory on this, right, when I was saying that this is deliberate, because it's maybe the conservatives have figured out that Pierre actually is unlikable.
You think?
And all of this is a campaign and an effort to reduce that. So no journalists on the plane because, well, he tends to get a little prickly with them, and is he the type that would come to the back of the plane and actually talk to journalists every now and then? Would that go well for him?
You
Probably
didn't want
not.
to speak to the peasants.
Yeah.
I read something yesterday about one of his rallies. He showed up, did his speech, did some photo ops, didn't speak to a single person there. Not one. This was at a sawmill, I believe it was.
Okay,
this is the commentary I read about.
Yeah, sawmill, yeah. He didn't talk to a person, single person.
Didn't speak to anybody who worked there, but he cares about workers.
Right, exactly. So you have all of the, how to put it, the media is not on the plane with him. So that minimizes the amounts of time that he's prickly. He does have the things that he has to do, and there he's smiling and he's trying to make jokes and laughing and stuff like that, trying to present a calmer face. Often has his wife, often has his kids. Maybe again he knew this was going to be a tough campaign, so wants someone close to him, all that kind of stuff. But you have this going on. Then you've got all the camera angles and all the communications directly to the party faithful. And they're talking about all the themes that he's strongest on at the party faithful. And he's spending a lot of times at the rallies, like Mr. Grizzly says, where he's well rehearsed and he's well prepared. All of this creates a type of campaign, unidirectional campaign, where we broadcast to you what we want our leader, what we want you to see of our leader. And yeah, he's got to do some of that other stuff, but don't listen to that mainstream press anyway. We got you. Just listen to us. Right? And he's always at his absolute best, and he's never being asked challenging questions, and he's always in front of an adoring crowd. This just might be a deliberate attempt somewhere along the way. Say, you know what? It's like, we can't save you, man. So let's just minimize the amount of time that you're out there and the number of images by flooding the zone with a whole bunch of other stuff that we can produce ourselves. Where you look like the nice, normal family guy who stands with the workers and understands the problems of the people, because you're standing on a big stage and telling them, confirming all their biases.
Yes.
Like this. And of course, all the stuff that you say there, you clearly probably shouldn't be saying to a broader audience during an election campaign. So we'll make sure that the amount of that gets to get out is minimal.
Well, right now he's in St. John's, Newfoundland. He has been speaking for about 25 minutes. And of course, as he always does, he starts in French. He's been speaking for 25 minutes in French in St. John's, Newfoundland.
To start.
He just switched to English just now, after 25 minutes. Look, I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to gain favor in Quebec. It's never going to happen. They hate your guts. You're not popular in Quebec for a multitude of reasons.
Yes. But that's another thing he left it off Harper, right? And it's like, no matter where I'm in country, I'm going to speak French first. Usually you speak French first in Quebec, while you're in Quebec.
Yes.
Or if you're in the Francophone area outside Quebec.
St. John's, Newfoundland is not a heavily Francophone area.
Well, the other thing that it does for him on his campaign is that if he has any vim and vigor, like to start off, he's using it in French.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, and by the time he starts in English, was only 25 minutes into it. So it's like, hey, Canada, that moment's gone.
He's
that
lost the
gone.
audience that are present there completely. He's at I don't know where he is. It looks like everybody's in PPE, so it's probably a factory or I don't know, fish. I don't know where he is. I know he's in St. John's, and I know that he's speaking to a group of people. But again, whatever the audience is, he's lost it.
Yeah, indeed. Here it is, Mr. Grizzly. I found the one that I was looking for.
Oh.
So I had the right timestamp, but it was the wrong link that went with it. The link was down below in another section.
Okay.
But that's the one if you start at 3:08. I think you might hear, there's a possibility that there might be somebody speaking before Lisa. I'm not sure if I kept both clips and put them side by side, because you'll get a contrast. And this is what we're talking about. If the contrast is there about someone being able to say something true and real about their own side, and then the person from the other side going all pearl clutchy.
Okay. Just wanted to let you know there's a breaking news story on
Yes.
CTV. We'll discuss it later, but I'm just going to give you the headline. Conservative candidate gets boot after CTV News uncovers audio of him supporting public hangings. Joked Trudeau should receive the death penalty.
Weren't we just talking about this?
Mm-hmm.
This, you mentioned it just at the right time, because watch what comes here.
Okie dokie. Second, will I get it?
That could have been better timed. Seriously.
Why does it do that? It's supposed to stay like that.
Okay, this feels like a really good place to start with the power panel. They're standing by. Lisa Raitt is a former Conservative cabinet minister. Here with me in the studio, Vandana Cotter was an advisor to former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Brad Levine is a former national campaign director for the NDP. And Rob Russo is the Canada correspondent for The Economist. It's good to see you all. Vandana, the housing policy was supposed to be a big part of the campaign, a big pitch today, and I got walked all over by this Paul Chiang situation. Why would Mark Carney keep him after what he did?
Well, I think his comments were incredibly stupid and egregious. It sounds a lot like locker room talk, like a joke. And I think despite all that, I think what Mr. Carney is focusing on is the fact that Mr. Chiang has spent 30 years in the York Region Police Force. He also served as part of the Diversity Inclusion Office there. So he did work with, there's a lot of space between racialized communities and law enforcement sometimes. So he worked at building bridges. So he's done a lot of work in that community. And I think the way he sees it is that as much as this was a stupid, egregious error in judgment, that it shouldn't eclipse the good work he has done. And, I think really it's up to the people of Markham Unionville to decide now.
Lisa, everything Mark Carney said today as to why he should keep Paul Chiang on the ballot was also a reason why Paul Chiang should have known better. 30 years as a cop, worked in DEI, parliamentary secretary, right. MP from the community. I mean, what do you make of his decision not to turf his candidate?
Well, maybe he should start with a condemnation about the fact that a foreign entity has put a bounty on the head of a candidate for our election. Let's start with that one. I would have liked to have heard something about that, more than about whether or not this was a teachable moment, I think is the term that was used by somebody. This is a serious matter. A bounty's on the head of somebody who's running in our federal election, and the Liberal member of Parliament thinks it's okay to make a joke out of it. Not a joke. Not a joke. I mean, when Donald Trump does stuff like this and he says things that are incredibly outrageous and egregious, we all say, well, he's not being literal, he's being figurative, but still he shouldn't be doing that. This is exactly the same thing. He said something incredibly egregious, incredibly not just stupid, dangerous, because who knows what other people are going to actually think about this. The fact that there's a bounty, as I said many times already, is an affront to our democracy. And it should be taken as seriously as the matter is, not just to dust it off and say, move along, everybody.
Brad, what are your thoughts on this one?
All right.
Well, when a candidate...
So, right? Mm-hmm. One person saying what he said was extremely stupid, whatnot, explaining what is the position, not trying to defend it. The rest will be from the voters of Markham Unionville to decide. And then Lisa going out full bore. Now, everything she said is true.
Yes. Not a word of it was a lie.
But again, from the source.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, I literally wrote this down as she was saying this. Where were you when all those Hang Trudeau placards and nooses were in Parliament Hill? Where were you when people were musing loud about murdering Trudeau? Where were you when Ottawa was taken hostage and the Conservatives were bringing them coffee and donuts? And where were you with your outrage about this bounty when we first learned about it? And where were you when Jerry Ritz suggested Wayne Easter should have died from listeriosis? And where were just right? It's when we're talking about things that could end up with the lives of Canadians or Canadian politicians being terminated,
mm-hmm.
We do not joke.
No, it's not funny because somebody somewhere might take that as a tacit invitation. We've seen it happen in the U.S. with the Pizzagate scandal. It's amazing nobody was harmed that day.
Right.
It's amazing nobody was harmed that day. That could have gone south real fast.
Right. And in the case of Maher Arar, yes, the detention happened under previous government, 2002. That was Kritzengarten. But y'all didn't do much to help him.
Nobody did anything to help
And
him.
you certainly fought against compensating him for the error. That was another case where we said the government screwed up. The government must pay.
Correct.
We don't care who did it.
Well, his charter rights were violated.
Three
He's
ways
a
from
Canadian
Sunday.
citizen. Yeah. So, look, the charter applies to every single Canadian, or it applies to none of us. You can't pick and choose. It doesn't work that way. It's a blanket that covers every Canadian. Well, this guy did. I don't give a shit what he did. He was a child, number one. He was in a war, number two. And he was there under the duress of his father, number three.
That's Omar Khadr. That's the other one.
Omar Khadr. Sorry, I was mixing them up. Yeah. But yeah, his rights were denied. His charter rights were violated, left, right, and center. And Omar Khadr was only under Harper, was he not? That's why I was confusing them.
Could be. I'd have to check that one out. But yes.
Yeah, Mayor Arar was sent to Syria and was tortured. I actually met him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I installed a bunch of company I was working for at the time contracted to a certain service provider, and that service provider was tasked with setting up multiple high-speed connections and cameras in his home so that he could be monitored by the RCMP. And there was an RCMP officers there while I was doing the work. It was interesting because they placed him under house arrest, so they wanted to monitor him 24/7. Like,
Omar Khadr, most of it was earlier as well. He was first detained in the U.S. in 2002.
Okay, so that was under Kretchen as well.
Yeah. So yeah, this. But again, right there's the detention. Both parties did wrong. There's the detention, and then there was, once it was clear that they had done something wrong, then publicly fighting against compensation. Right? And treating compensation like we were, when the Trudeau government had agreed that they were not going to stop fighting things because it was just going to cost more in the end and just pay. That
saved us money. Saved the Canadian taxpayer money because it would have cost a lot more. It would have gone to trial. They would have ruled in his favor. It would have been a larger sum.
Yes.
It was the right thing to do. And the recipient was like, yeah, I can work with that.
But the conservative claim was, right, we were giving money to a terrorist.
No, you weren't.
Right?
No, you weren't.
But that's, that's what I'm saying. It's like, no, we violated a Canadian citizen's human rights in probably the worst way possible.
Yes. And he was
now
14
we pay
when the incident took place.
But now we pay. Khadr was detained at the age of 15.
And,
no,
the incident that got him there. He was 14 at the time.
Yes. Sorry, but he was detained at the age of 15.
Yes.
So, I mean, clearly he had to be younger, right?
He's a child. He's under 18. He's not an adult. He's a child. I know teenagers don't like to be called children, but you're not a little child. You're a teenager, but you're still a child in the eyes of the law.
Yeah. Indeed. So, and Maher Arar was also detained in 2002. So they were both detained in the same year, originally by the United States. And 2002, which means that he was older. Yeah, so he was 32.
Yeah,
at the time.
He was a man at the time.
Yeah.
Not that he was never not a man. I'm just saying he wasn't a boy. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Just let's not. We're not. This is not a gender discussion. Okay, so
yeah. So again, right? These types of points of principle it's not only important to say the right thing in the moment, but it's to have lived doing that right thing when previous moments have come by in your political career. So, again, in the moment alone, she said the right thing. If we compare it to her personal track record,
I'll look the other way on that one.
So, again, just like it's not okay to say, oh, you know, he was a cop for 28 years and has a good record, all the good stuff he's done before. Well, we can use that and give him a free pass on this one. No, just like you can't say with a straight face, oh my God, this is horrible. There really ought to be a law, when you had the chance to make sure that there was a law. You didn't.
You didn't.
Right? Both of them ring empty.
Well, is she
even though they are the right things to say.
I'm just hearing this voice in my head. I'm sure you've all heard it before. Think of the children.
Yes. Yes. I should say that both of them, so whoever's saying the right thing in whatever situations like this, if they don't say that right thing in all the situations that are similar, how much?
If you pick and choose, come on, you've got no integrity.
Yeah, that's
no integrity.
So the principles test here has been failed all around. Right? Because Mr. Carney failed the principle here. Big time. It was Chris Platt. Yes. And while the Conservatives are correct on the principle in the moment, they have no track record of consistency of holding this view with regard to this principle at all times. And then you have Mr. saying, well, he's on terrain that's, usually very, very good for him on this.
Yes.
Right. Where this is the type of stuff on which he shines. All right. Do you have a little insurance, Mr. Grizzly?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Do you have a little bit of endurance?
Oh, endurance. I thought you said insurance. I'm like, well, I got renter's insurance. I didn't know why would you ask me if I have insurance? A little bit, but we're going to have to wrap soon because I do have to be somewhere in 20 minutes, which means it's going to have to wait till, I should have bowed out earlier. I wasn't paying attention to the time. I do want to address something very quickly, though, that I think the guy who is against affordable daycare, Pierre Poilievre, who voted against affordable daycare, is suddenly worried about the affordability of raising children, which is interesting because his comment yesterday kind of mimics what Trump said when Trump talked about being the station president.
We will not forget that young 36-year-old couple whose biological clock is running out faster than they can afford to buy a home and have kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Here again, I'm probably going to
state.
I'm going to surprise some people here.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Dumb. Really dumb.
That's just a surprise.
No, but I have to preface. I'm doing the compliment sandwich, the reverse compliment sandwich. Dumb. Super, super dumb. Really dumb. There's no fertile, pardon the pun, ground here for a comedy. Well, maybe there is. There depends on the context, I guess. Right, but references to somebody's biological clock, probably not good.
No.
The point he is trying to make, if we are being fair, right, is that young couples starting out, it may take them longer to save money. It may take them so long to save money to actually buy a home for the family that they plan that they can no longer have a family, biologically speaking. Okay. get the point. Maybe a slight bit of an exaggeration, but it feels like that for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
There was a more artful way to do that.
That was really badly done. Really
Okay.
badly done.
I'm not one of those who are like going, "Oh my God!" I see what you're going with. I see
didn't
what you were
touch
trying to
pearls. I just
do.
went,
It was just,
dude.
no. And again, not today, buddy. You were gift wrapped at something.
Just
You
go
were
back
gift
to
wrapped
dropping pizzas. That at least made you look human.
Exactly. But I mean, this here, it's like on a day where your opponent flubs so bad on a matter of core principle.
Yeah.
Don't draw attention away from it by trying to be clever in a really dumb way.
It was bad.
That was bad. That was bad. Not as bad as giving someone a free pass for suggesting that someone should be surrendered to another nation for a bounty.
That's bad.
But not good. Not enough as counter programming to cancel the other thing out. But dumb. Just avoid all references to biological clocks in politics. Just
don't do it.
Don't. Especially when you're not, popular with.
Mimicking Trump. I'm the fertilization president.
Yes, especially when you're not popular with women to start with.
You are
Don't. No. Again, whoever's advising you, malpractice, man.
It's horrible.
God. Okay, since we talked about dropping the pizza and you have to go, let's do that one. If you see that at the bottom here. Okay, there's two little things here.
It did make him look human though for a couple of minutes.
It did make him look human for a couple of minutes. Pierre Polyev, and this is interesting because they decided to post this themselves. If you go to his YouTube page, he posts it. Now, often in politics, they sometimes say that sometimes there's a moment that kind of captures your campaign and how it's going. This is kind of it, in a way, I would say. It's not going well for him at the moment. And so, I think they try to find, again, a moment so that Pierre can human. And what's more human than making a pizza with your kid?
Although the comment, what it looks like when a person has ever had a job in their entire life. I don't care for that comment. I in this context.
Yes.
Any other time I would. I don't care for it in this context because he's with his child and he's not. Look.
What, cheese? Just mushroom?
Oh, it's okay. That's okay. We got another one. Big fire.
Like it's not fair to say that the whole never had a job thing in this instance. He's there with his child, look, and he's trying to pay attention to the toddler, and he's not looking at what he's doing. Right. Anybody who has children will tell you that is not out of the ordinary.
Nope. But given that this is politics, and petty is my favorite color, this is exactly how he ran his leadership bid. This is precisely how he ran his party, and you see, this is how he's running his campaign right now.
Well,
he can't run Canada. All he can run is his trash mouth.
I do like your comment here, though. They spent nearly a decade mocking the alleged drama teacher. Remember, Justin Trudeau taught drama for one single semester while the drama teacher was out on maternity leave. One semester of drama. He taught math and literature. So they spent nearly a decade mocking the alleged drama teacher, but when it came time to make pizza, they reminded the world that there is no such thing as an unskilled job. That's a perfect clapback, sir, because that's exactly what it is. Oh, unskilled labor. Yeah, you do it. Oh, look at that. You failed miserably. And I can tell you, because I've worked in a pizza parlor. This is a photo op setup. He's attending to his child. Okay, I get it. But trust me, if you've ever worked in a busy pizza place, it's complete insanity. You're doing 2 or 3 things at the same time. Unskilled labor, kiss my ass, unskilled labor. There's a skill set. You can either hack it or you can't.
Yep. So, Mr. Grizzly, the Facebook post. This is reminded me of something else. Considering how the campaign is going. 50 years ago, last year in May, there was a photo that became very popular featuring Mr. Robert Stanfield.
Trying to catch a football?
Now, of course, to hear the story be told by the photographer, apparently he had caught plenty of footballs before, but this one he fumbled, and this is the one that made the press.
Yeah.
And
compare and contrast, right?
1974 is to fumble the football is to Stanfield, what 2025 drop the pizza is to Pierre Poilievre. And I can't wait to see that in front of a podium. Drop the pizza.
Do we start chanting that? Apparently, there's a rally for Pierre Poilievre in Kingston today.
Apparently.
Just saying.
Not that I would be invited to attend.
No, but if it's a rally, you should be able to just walk in, right?
Oh, I should be. But, I mean...
Why don't you just attempt to walk in and see what happens and film the insert?
Oh, I'm not sure I want to. I'm not sure I want to achieve Karima status. But she has more balls than I do in that sense. But yeah, I don't know. I did think about it. Like, let's put it this way: if it was like a Bonnie Crombie stop that you could just come,
right?
I would be there,
right?
But I know if I say True North Eager Beaver and then they look at it, and then because when I went to see Bonnie Crombie, actually they looked at it. So the person there looked up the YouTube page and looked at it and said, okay, yeah, this looks legit. Well, let's go. They'll see a couple of titles. Pierre Poilievre is drowning. It's like, thank you, but we won't be needing you today.
You're with who? Hang on a sec. Oh,
hell no.
No.
Although it might be fun just for that, actually. It's been a long time since I've been told, oh, hell no.
That would be a good little soundbite video clip by
then. Oh, man. All right. I think, you know what? That's enough for today. Do we have a show?
You do indeed, sir.
We were going to talk a little bit about housing as well, because there were some big announcements and some actually like Mark Carney actually had a really good and important announcement on housing yesterday. So hopefully we'll talk a little bit about that tomorrow, because we just got chatty today. It happens. All right, kids and cubs. That's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. We really appreciate it when you do. Now, if you would like to help us out, well, hey, we could always use a little bit of assistance. So why not? Did I mention the pod page? I did not. I'm so sorry. I have to do that. We cannot disrespect the Ray Girl who sponsored our pod page. podpage.com/the-true-north-eager-beaver with a hyphen between each one of those words, or you just scan that QR code. That's where you go when you don't want to miss an audio episode of our podcast. You go there and you click subscribe, and when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, it comes directly to you. Now, if you'd like to help us in other ways, you can make like Kit Elaine and Kit Cassie and surf on down to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page. Like 14,800 of you have so far. Big jump in subscribers over the weekend. Thank you so much to all who have joined. Perhaps there is a thirst for Canadians looking for Canadian analysis and coverage made by Canadians for Canadians. So thank you if you are some of those and you are joining and listening to us. We really appreciate it. By the way, some of our podcasts are getting through now. Thank you, Mr. Grizzly, for getting those out. And we are charting again. Yay!
Or
so
no.
Yes, it seems.
Found us again, have they?
Low charting, but it seems that they found us. So it seems that we're charting. I saw us at 193 the other day on the top 250. So it's like we're charting. So
we were number 3, but when we switched to
well, that's FeedSpot.
That was FeedSpot, yeah.
Yeah, we just vanished from FeedSpot, but it seems that some people are finding us again. Okay. So
because when we didn't go anywhere, we just switched distributors, and when it did, I guess it messed up the algorithm, and somehow we disappeared.
Yeah. But it seems that some people are finding us again. So for those who haven't seen us for a while, well, we've been here the whole time, just hiding behind the couch.
We switched from one distributor to another, and everything went sideways as a result. And
oh my God,
I've tried to fix it.
It's been nearly it's been what 8 months of trying to get this fixed
since June.
Since June, it's been insane. But hopefully, it's. For most of you, at least, it's working. So if you would like to support us, please go to our True North Eager Beaver page. That's the one that we have no issues with, where you can get all the daily shows as they are. Basically, as soon as we go offline, they're there for you to watch. So, and then we always have a rebroadcast as well. If you would like to help us in other ways, please, if you could, make a contribution to the Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund, because we do incur some costs to bring the show to you, and we would definitely appreciate your help with being able to cover them. You can do that by scanning that QR code that is by Mr. Grizzly's head, or by going to our coffee page, and that's spelled coffee, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all in one word. And if you go there and leave us a little bit of coinage, also leave us a word if you like to, because we like hearing what you have to say. We would very much appreciate it. Everything that you give us goes back into the show, and we really, really, really are grateful for all the support that you have given us. Last year, you helped us buy new computers so that we are able to produce a better quality show. And hopefully this year we'll be able to get out to a couple of places over the summer or the early fall and do some podcasts in your area and bring you new features as we expand. So we absolutely appreciate all of your support. Thank you very much for it. Now, if you're not able to support us financially, please do not worry, because the gift of your attention, participation are the ones that matter most to us. And when you do things like share us, with your friends, especially if you write a comment before on all your socials, or you leave us stars and reviews on Apple Podcasts, all of that is very, very helpful. Also, when you send us story ideas. So please, we'd like to hear from you. truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com is our email address. Please write to us. You can also reach us on our socials at the Blue Sky Beaver Lodge and on the Jitter at True Eager, at our original home on Facebook, True North Eager Beaver. Or if you are listening on YouTube, just leave us a comment right down here in the comment section. Just say hello. And we do read everything. Not able to get back to everyone, but we read everything. And that too all goes back into the show. Now, if you also want to make a donation to us directly without going through the CE Tech Bros, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com, our email address at which you write us, is also good for internet bank transfers, and that keeps your transaction 100% Canadian, and we get 100% of your donation. So it's win-win. All right, because democracy is something that you do, kids and cubs, remember there's a Quebec Liberal leadership race going on in the background. Someday, hopefully, we'll be able to bring you something about that. There's just so much going on. The Manitoba PC leadership race, registration is closed. Mail-in ballots are due by April 22nd, and the results will be announced on April 26th. So please take care of that. For those of you who are wondering about the by-election in the Halifax region, that of course is canceled because an election has been called. So that's just rolled into this current election campaign. All right. Mr. Grizzly, do you have some words of wisdom?
I'm trying to come up with something today, and it's sunny today in Ottawa. It's not very warm, but it's sunny, or at least it was sunny. I don't know if it's overcast again, but try and get out and get some fresh air today. It'll be good for your mental health. It certainly helped mine yesterday. I got in my 10,000 steps and achieved a few things that I had set about doing, and I have to go in 3 minutes. So, yeah.
All right. Hub, will you go and I'll close off because I do want to read that article that you mentioned about the Conservative candidate.
Okay.
Before we go.
Just before that, then let me show you something. I had something. Oh, no, there it is. I had to show you something quickly just before we go because I think I get a huge kick out of this. It is not a real ad. I want to stress that this is not a real ad. This is a doctored ad of a billboard for a real estate company.
Oh, yes.
It's really funny. Pierre Polyev, are your eggs drying up? The time to buy is now.
It's a Remax sort of billboard, by the way, for those wondering.
It's Photoshopped. It's not real, but it is funny. It's very funny. I don't know who came up with it, but kudos to you because it really did hit the spot.
We'll get you housed before your eggs dry up. Call me.
All right, I got to go. I will see you later, folks. Take care.
All right. So yes, I was able to find the article that Mr. Grizzly was referring to when he said there was breaking news, and now certain things make sense because the candidate involved is Mark McKenzie, and I've been seeing some memes going around wondering about the quality of candidates that the Conservative Party had chosen when he was nominated, I guess. And now I guess I'm seeing why it is that those memes have gone around. But this is according to Stephanie Ha and Vashi Kapelos here at CTV News, published at 8:33 and updated at 8:47. So this really is not even an hour old yet news. But here it says, a Conservative candidate who once voiced his support for, quote, public hangings, even joking that former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau should receive the death penalty, will no longer be running to represent the party after CTV News first obtained audio of his comments. Quote, the comments are clearly unacceptable. Mr. McKenzie will not be the Conservative candidate, a Conservative campaign spokesperson told CTV News in a statement on Tuesday morning. Mark McKenzie, who sits as a city councillor in Windsor, Ontario, was running to represent the riding of Windsor-Tecumseh Lakeshore. In 2022, he made remarks in a now-defunct comedy podcast called Mark and Chris Podcast. Content from the podcast has since largely been wiped online. The episode was released on February 18th, 2022, at the end of the Freedom Convoy that took over downtown Ottawa for 3 weeks amid political division over pandemic restrictions and mandates. During the episode, McKenzie, who called Trudeau, quote, an idiot, amid the aftermath of the protests, spoke to his co-host about the need to, quote, hold your politicians accountable and for, quote, more regular people to run for office. When his co-host expressed doubt over the impact that local city councillors can have on issues like lockdowns, McKenzie pushed back and said, quote, we all need to band together. He then spoke about the need to return to medieval-era methods as a way to invoke change, going on to say, quote, I'm also in favor of public hangings, so I think that we need to bring that back. Quote, I think they should bring back the electric chair as well, but again, only if you're like 1,000,000% positive. Like, no, but you know what I mean? McKenzie added. While going back and forth with his co-host about his support for the death penalty, McKenzie went on to give examples of cases where it should be applied and included Trudeau's name. But again, like a Paul Bernardo, just expletive, kill that guy. Why are my tax dollars going to keep that guy alive? Question mark. Questioned mark. Not question mark. Sorry. Accidental humor. Oh my God. Sorry. Charles Manson, people like that. Jeffrey Dahmer, you know what I'm saying? If you're 100% certain, Epstein, you know, this is what I'm saying. Justin Trudeau, McKenzie said while laughing. Following that comment, McKenzie referred to strict policies in China, saying, look, man, even you look at some like China, you steal something, there goes your hand, you know? And you know why? That's why nobody bleeping steals in China or in Thailand, you know? You don't bleeping go around there because you're losing your hand, later adding, I'm against a lot of things China does, not that. McKenzie has served as a city councillor in Windsor since the fall of 2022. Yikes. This past weekend, he had officially launched his campaign to run for the federal Conservatives. He previously spent nearly 2 decades in broadcasting at several Windsor area radio stations and most recently worked as a licensed realtor. Liberal incumbent, I'm going to say, Irek Kuzmierczyk, the NDP's Alex Ilijowski and Nick of the People's Party of Canada are running to represent the riding of Windsor to Tecumseh Lakeshore. So yeah, don't think that they had any choice after what happened in the Liberal camp, and especially after making a big case about it. So this was the right move. People would have to ask, of course, how it is that his candidacy got approved in the first place, because I'm pretty sure they might have known about those comments back then. But hey, hopefully this is a trend that all candidates who make these types of trivial comments about people suddenly somehow being unalived, that shit stops. That would be nice. I would like that a lot. All right, kits and cubs. Since we already did the extra, I think I'm going to now see about whether or not I can stick the landing. So please cheer for me. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. All right, kids and cubs. Thank you to Kit Elaine in the chat, who gave me a pronunciation correction that the candidate whose name I mentioned, hopefully I can find it again, said it wrong. I pronounced it, I believe, as Irek, and it's not Irek. Apparently it is pronounced Eric. There you go. Sometimes you just, like Mr. Grizzly says, I did not know how to pronounce it, so I read it phonetically and did it wrong, and I am grateful for the gentle correction. So thank you, Kit Elaine. A little bit of news of Canadians who make us proud as our Easter egg, given that we talked about a lot of Canadians who have not made us proud at all today. So let's balance it out a little bit. In figure skating, last weekend was the World Championships of figure skating happening in Boston. There was a beautiful tribute to all the people who unfortunately passed away in that plane crash. The figure skating community was pretty devastated as a result of that, particularly the American community, because there's a lot of there are junior skaters and younger skaters who were unfortunately who lost their lives. But at the event, Canada had the best chances in ice dancing and in pairs. Unfortunately, we only came away with one medal, which was a silver in ice dancing, thanks to Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier, who collected a second consecutive silver medal at the championships. It's their 12th World Championships appearance together, and I believe their fourth medal. They finished second behind three-time world champion Madison Chalk and Evan Bates of the United States. Marjorie Lajoie and Zachary Laga finished seventh overall. Last year, they had finished fifth. And Alicia Fabry and Paul Ayer made a promising world championship debut, qualifying for the free dance to finish among the top 10 teams in the world. So altogether, those results mean that Canada has qualified 3 ice dance teams for Milano Cortina, which is good. That's the maximum a country can qualify in each event. In pairs, Diana Stellato, Dudek, and Maxime Deschamps, who were the defending world championships, finished in the top 5 in 5th place, but had a disappointing 7th place in the short program where they made some mistakes. It seems that they've had a bit of a tough year with illness and weren't necessarily up to full speed for the competition. Leah Pereira and Trent Michaud finished 11th overall, which means that Canada has earned 2 pair spots for the next Olympic Games. Canada's third pair, Kelly-Anne Lorrain and Lucas Etier, finished 16th. They had a very strong short program that put them in 12th, but the long program didn't go well. Leah Pereira and Trent Michaud were in 10th after the short program and ended up 11th overall after a small mistake in their free program. They were hoping to climb up to 8th place, which would have qualified 3 teams for Canada at the Olympics instead of 2. Madeline Skisas delivered a career best finish at the World Championships, finishing 11th in the women's event, but she had a chance. She skated in the final flight because she was 6th after the short program, which she skated. Her skate was outstanding. But there were a few small errors that prevented her from staying in the top 10. But she's getting closer to the 200 mark in scores, and she reached a season's best. So that was good for her. And Roman Sadovsky had finished 14th overall for the men. In snowboard cross, Elliot Grondin won his first senior world championship title in the men's snowboard cross at the 2025 FIS Snowboard World Championships. So we have another world champion, another weekend, another Canadian world champion. It seems it's his second medal at the Worlds, following a bronze in 2021. So that's pretty cool for him. And he also sits atop of the season's World Cup standings with a 141-point lead over his closest competitor. The Crystal Globe will be awarded at the final World Cup event of the season, taking place on home snow for Grondin at Mont Saint-Anne, Quebec, April 4th through 6th. Cassie Sharp earned a World Championship bronze, her first World Championship medal since 2019 in the ski halfpipe at the World Championships. So that's a good result for her. Let's see, what else do we have here? And in ski cross, Reese Howden won both of the final men's ski cross events of the season in Sweden, earning him the Crystal Globe as the season's champion. They were his 6th and 7th World Cup victories of the season, bringing him to 18 for his career. And it's the 3rd time in 5 years that he's topped the World Cup standings. Courtney Hoffos also ended the season on a high, earning 2 hard-fought second-place finishes in the immediate aftermath of her silver medal at the World Championships. She had 5 podium performances on the World Cup circuit this season, all of which came since the start of February. So that's a very good result as well. So a big congratulations to our Canadian athletes who are doing us proud all around the world. All right, they're great ambassadors. Get some Cubs. That's the end for me. Everybody, have a beaverific day.